first thing we got to do tonight, guys, we got to weigh in on this number one team in the country debate. Give it to me, T.O. Auburn, Gonzaga, Arizona. Who is the best team in college basketball right now?
Right now, it's Auburn, and I'm not sure it's really close. And the one thing that I'm looking at more than anything, guys, is who would win the games right now if we did a round robin. And I don't see Auburn losing to either Gonzaga, nor do I see them losing to Arizona. And you look at the common opponent between Auburn and Arizona is Tennessee, and they struggle with Tennessee. Auburn, obviously, we'll get to see that. They did play, I'm pretty sure. I'm not going crazy here, but I just feel like if they played Gonzaga right now, Auburn, they win because they present a lot of problems for Gonzaga and Drew Timme that we've seen Gonzaga struggle with in the past, and that's athletic bigs. I think more than anything, that's what can slow Gonzaga down. Whenever they get beasted around a little bit and they get pushed off the ball, I think Gonzaga can struggle. So if you played a round robin right now, I think Auburn beats the other two teams handily.
Yeah, I think I'm feeling the same way about it right now. Just based off the fact that Auburn right now, they're coming off a win against Kentucky. And to me, Kentucky is a Final Four caliber team if they're fully healthy. And I just think that right now they're playing the best basketball. And like T.O. said, they played each other. I just don't know if Gonzaga will be able to keep up with the up-tempo, athletic Auburn team. And unfortunately for Gonzaga playing in the WCC, they're not going to have any games. They're going to blow you out of the water with performances. So, you got to give the nod to Auburn right now. I think they're playing the best basketball in the country, and they're more than deserving of that number one ranking.
So are they deserving of number one? Like, have they earned it with their resume? Or I'm putting you on a spot, Carter. You got to answer me here. Are they the best team in college basketball right now? Are they your favorite to win the national title?
Yes, they are. Because one, I think they're playing in the best conference right now in college basketball. I give the nod to the SEC as the best college basketball conference right now. And you telling me about a team like Arizona, let's say. Arizona's best win is what? A game at Illinois that didn't have one of Illinois' best players in Andre Curbelo, or some of the best, maybe, quote unquote, one of the best players for Illinois' basketball team in Andre Curbelo. They beat a Michigan team, which at the time looked like a good win, but now not looking so good. They've had a couple cancellations in the Pac-12. So I think the resume stacks up for Auburn. They beat Kentucky, beat Alabama at Alabama. That's a really good win. I think the resume speaks for itself.
T, are you worried about Gonzaga at all? The last couple times that we've seen them go up against elite competition, they did not look as good as they did against UCLA, as they did against Texas. And we've kind of seen with UCLA and Texas, those teams fell off a little bit. So is there any concern? Like, I'm worried about what they're going to be defensively. I'm worried about how they can use Chet Holmgren and Drew Timme on that end of the floor at the same time. Is there any concern for you there?
As far as Drew Timme, just the things that I've already said, is he going to be able to play against big physical guys? I think that's the number one concern. Another thing is they've been beat by two teams two different ways. And the reason it's only two teams, obviously I realize they're 15-2. That's a great record. And we're probably looking at a second weekend Gonzaga team. Let's not get ahead of ourselves and call them terrible. But Alabama beat them with guard play, and they beat them at their place. And it wasn't in Spokane, but it was in Seattle, which might as well have been a home game. Duke beat them by sheer physicality. And the fact that they got beat two different ways worries me come March. And you got to look at, they're not really going to see anybody besides BYU. BYU solid. But at the same time, they beat them by what? They put 110 on BYU. I mean, everybody wants to say, oh, West Coast Conference this. Everybody's trying to downplay the ACC and all that nonsense. Let's stop it. Let's stop it. Both of you, before we even get started, let's just go ahead and stop it. West Coast Conference not better than the ACC, even this year. So they are going to run through that campus. I do have a fun fact
for you.
Fact
for you. No, I have a fun fact for you. Okay. So Arizona right now is sitting at 6-0 in the Pac-12. Do you know what the KenPom ranking is for the best team that they've beaten in conference play this year? Arizona, 6-0 in the Pac-12. The best team that they have beaten in Pac-12 play so far this season is ranked 85th on KenPom. Gonzaga, here are the teams that they've beaten in Pac-12 play. BYU, you know what they are right now on KenPom? 25th.
25.
You know what San Francisco is right now on KenPom? 32nd. You know what Santa Clara is right now on KenPom? 80th. Gonzaga has 3 wins in league play that are better than any of the ones that Arizona has in league play right now. So like I'm on the Arizona's awesome bandwagon, and I think that they 100% deserve to be in the conversation for the number one team overall. But they're like, Carter, there's like a small percentage chance that they're completely fraudulent and they're just beating up on bad teams.
Yeah, and I honestly, I still don't. I'm not fully convinced that Arizona is even the best team in the Pac-12. I think they are up there in the running for best team, but I still think people are counting out UCLA way too fast. Like UCLA is still a really good team.
Why do you think people are counting them out?
I think just because, like, I think that new car smell kind of wore off from last year with that run. You know, they came into this year, they lose a couple games to start the year. Coming into the year, everyone's like, oh, UCLA, they're running it back. They're adding Peyton Watson, they're adding Miles Johnson. And then, you know, the honeymoon phase kind of ended and they came back to earth a little bit. But this is still a really good team. Johnny Juzang's a go-to guy who is primed for a March run, as we saw last year. And I still think they've got a really talented team. So I'm still picking UCLA to win the Pac-12, and I think they are the better team than Arizona.
Well, I think the out of sight, out of mind thing is big too, because UCLA had to sit out forever. What was it? Ended up being 3 weeks or something like that over Christmas. So the fact
26 days between games that they played.
That's a lot. That's a lot. So out of sight, out of mind. Look, here's my thing with UCLA, and I'm almost with you, but they just rely on hard shots. Like they rely on Johnny Juzang and Jaime Jaquez to make hard shots consistently for them to be good. I understand Tiger Campbell's good. I understand all that. But the fact that defensively, I think they're capable, but they just haven't shown it this year. Arizona has shown that with consistency, and they have so much size around that perimeter. I think they can give UCLA trouble. Now, UCLA has also shown the ability to make those hard shots that I talk about. So it's going to be a great game tomorrow. I'm really excited about it. I might have to watch it the next day because it's 11 p.m. and it might kill me to stay up that late and have to wake up at 6 a.m. with children. But at the same time,
it's 40 minutes later than After Dark ends. That's going to end 40 minutes later than After Dark. What are you talking about?
I have toothpicks open in my eyes right now. Like, what are we talking about? No, but it's going to be a great game. It's going to be a great game.
T.O., you talk about hard shots. The number one team in the country right now might take the hardest shots in college basketball. Auburn takes some tough shots. They them. They got a lot of hoopers, but they take some tough shots.
They do, but Auburn also has the best player. I would assume anytime Auburn plays anybody, they're going to have the best player on the floor. And they have ultimate rim protection, and defensively is the difference between them and UCLA. Defensively, Auburn, like Walker Kessler sitting back there waiting, is intimidating. And then those guards, I've said it so many times, nightmare fuel, baby. Nightmare fuel. I'm not sure it's just KD Johnson, but there's a bunch of them. Those guards, they just send waves of guards that are just tough and tenacious. And Zep Jasper starts, but he doesn't really get the bulk of the minutes. And then Wendell, he comes in and he's hitting, like, you're right. But at the same time, full confidence, and they defend on the other end.
Yeah, Walker Kessler is what we wanted Miles Johnson to be this season.
Yeah.
And like, to me, he is the difference maker. Look, Jabari Smith is an absolute stud. They have the guards that Bruce Pearl needs to be able to play the style that he wants to play. They're aggressive defensively. They get up after you. They have absolutely no conscience when it comes to shooting, and they play with a level of confidence that is like Carter Elliott in his prime. That's the level of confidence that they have in their ability to make some of these shots. And it doesn't work the way that it works if you don't have that guy that can protect the rim the way that Walker Kessler can protect the rim. And for the record, he is the best rim protector in college basketball. There's a reason why Auburn leads the nation in block percentage. There is a reason why Walker Kessler leads the nation in block percentage right now. But he's also the best vertical spacer in college basketball. Like, one thing, when we had Bruce on Saturday, I thought it was really interesting that he said that Walker Kessler is the best college basketball player in the air, which is the perfect way to phrase it. And I've never heard it phrased that way before, but it's just, to me, he's the guy. You have all of these awesome pieces, and the reason that they fit together is, one, like the buy-in, the identity, like people know what they're being asked to do. They've accepted their roles, blah, 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 this, that, and the third. But it works because you have that guy at the 5 that everything else can operate around.
Right. Yeah. And they can get out and pressure the ball because they know that dude's behind them. I think that's the biggest thing. And the thing that's impressed me, not just about, him on help side, but him guarding the ball, they do a lot of switching, and his ability to stay out there with some guards, even when he gets beat, his trail behind blocks, like, he blocks everything. It's incredible. I'll text back and forth with Steve Prohm, and he'll be like, man, this guy's amazing. He blocks everything that comes within 8 feet of the rim, and he gets there fast. He has been really impressive. It's amazing what confidence can do to a 19-year-old kid. Like what Bruce Pearl does, like he lets his guys be who they are. Like be who you is. Shout out to my man David Bentley, who wrote an article. It's called Be Who You Is. Go ahead and read it. It's good stuff. But he lets his guys be what they're good at. KD Johnson, a little crazy. He lets him be crazy. Wendell Green, he's going to take some tough ones. He's going to make some tough ones. And Jabari Smith just makes it all work because he's so talented by himself.
Yeah, and you know what it is? Like life is confidence, but it's not just basketball. Life is confidence. You got to be confident in everything you do, or you're not going to be good at it. And Bruce Pearl is as good as any coach in the country at developing confidence in his team. Right now, we're watching the end of this Kansas-Texas Tech game. Texas Tech's on a bit of a run. They've cut it to 2 with 1 minute and 28 seconds left. So it looks like we're going to have a fun ending here, fellas. All right, I want to ask you this while we wait for this game to end. How do you beat Auburn? What do you have to do to be able to beat them? Because right now, there's only one team in the country that's been able to beat them. I can't. Do you remember who it was, Carter? Who beat Auburn this year? I can't.
I think it was Hurley and the boys with the Huskies.
I can't remember. Oh yeah, that's right. It was UConn. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that was a fun game. How do you beat them, Carter? How do you beat Auburn? If you're coaching right now, you're lining up your guys and you're getting ready to coach against Auburn and Bruce Pearl. What do you do to beat them?
First things first, we are not playing Auburn style basketball. I don't think there's a team in this country who can out Auburn them basically. So if you think you're going to run with them and play the way they want to play, that's not going to work. I think honestly, giving credit to UConn in this situation, I think that UConn kind of had a blueprint how to beat them because they're an extremely tough team. And they went to the rim fearless, but also not reckless. You know what I'm saying? Because when you have a shot blocker like that, you got to be able to make the right play, whether it's finishing strong and avoiding that shot blocker or making the right pass out of a driving situation. So I just think that, if you just stay within yourself and play your game and stay calm and don't try to play what Auburn's trying to play, I think that's the best chance to beat them because you cannot play their way and win a basketball game, I don't think.
You're going to have to hit hard shots too. And the biggest thing when you go up against Auburn, who's UConn's most valuable player?
Big fella.
Nope.
Are you going to say RJ Cole?
I am.
Yeah. Okay.
Like your most valuable player has to be your point guard again when you're playing against Auburn, because you can't turn the ball over or else they get off to the races and you can just forget it. Take care of the ball. You're going to have to hit some hard shots and you're going to have to really crowd Jabari Smith, because if he goes for 30, you're going to have a hard time because the other guys feed off of that confidence. He hits a couple of shots. Bucket making's contagious. Like I'm telling you, like you have one guy that starts to hit a shot or two, and then it's a cumulative effect with the rest of your guys. So you're going to have to stay glued on him. So your 1 and your 4 have to be terrific, and you have to try to attack Walker Kessler's body to get him in foul trouble, because some of the guys behind Kessler are good. Like Cardwell's a good player, like emotional guy, does exactly what he's supposed to do. Comes in there, gives a lift from an emotional perspective, gives energy, gets the crowd riled up, and then he goes back and sits down after playing 8 minutes, grabbing 2 boards and probably 4 fouls. Like,
so I kind of disagree with you guys a little bit on one thing. I think you have to go at them. I think you have to really get after them in the half court. You cannot. The biggest thing is you cannot let them get out and play in transition. You have to make them play in the half court. But I think that you can kind of pressure them a little bit playing in the half court, because if they have a weakness, it's playmakers in the backcourt. I think we saw that with Kentucky. I think we saw in the first probably 18 to 20 minutes of that game, they were forcing turnovers. That's where Kentucky's offense was coming from. They weren't getting anything in the half court. They were forcing turnovers. They were getting in transition. They were finding open shooters. Kellen Grady hit a couple of open threes. They got a bunch of layups. They got a couple of lobs. I think that you can kind of work them over a little bit if you get them out of what they want to do. If you make Wendell Green go one-on-one from 40 feet away instead of from 25 feet away, then that changes the calculus a little bit, I think, in terms of what you got to do to beat them. Right now, we got Kansas 74, Texas Tech 73, 47 seconds left on the clock. All right, Carter, I'm putting you on the spot again. How do you beat Gonzaga?
I think the easy answer is what we've seen this year from teams that have beat them. You got to get out and run. I think they struggle with athleticism, and that's always the case with Gonzaga. They probably get sick of hearing it, but the proof is in the pudding. Games they lost this year, they've been outran off the floor. I think that if you have a team like an Auburn that can get out and run, get up and down, make Drew Timme run the floor. Not saying he's not a great athlete, but he's no just blazer rim runner type guy. Get up and down the floor. Play fast, play fun. I think that's the best way to beat this Gonzaga team because I don't think any team can keep up with Gonzaga in the half court. I think they run way too great of stuff, and they have a guy like Drew Timme who can throw it too down low and he can make plays, and that's why he has games where he's 13 for 16 from the field with 28 points and 12 boards. So you got to play up tempo against Gonzaga team.
I get a little. I would try to. It depends on my personnel, first of all. Mm-hmm. Because the fact that you can beat them two different ways, and they've proven that, like I said earlier, if I have really good guards, I'm going to push it at them. If I don't, and I'm a little bit bigger, I'm trying to beat them up. I'm trying to force them away to the basket, and I'm attacking Chet Holmgren's chest because he is shown to be really effective when he can get a rebound and take off and then make decisions. If you beat those guys up, it just depends on who you are. Like if I'm Texas Tech, I'm slowing it to a crawl and just beating them up for 40 minutes. And I don't know that they would be able to handle it. If I'm Alabama, if I'm Auburn, I'm flying up and down, trying to induce pace. And then I'm going to make less mistakes than you are. And I'm going to try to make it a little bit sloppy by running fast.
How big do you think the gap is, T.O., between, last year it was Baylor, Gonzaga, and then everybody else. And we could have debates over like who the best two teams were, but like what is the gap this year between the top, like between Auburn and let's say, I don't know, Gonzaga or Auburn and Arizona? Because honestly, I really don't think that there's much of a gap at all. We're talking about Arizona, right? Everything that you guys just said about how to beat either of those teams, like Arizona does that stuff. They run, they got athleticism, they can play in the half court. Tommy Lloyd knows what Gonzaga wants to do better than anybody in the country because he's doing it right now at Arizona in his first year with a team that he didn't recruit. So I don't think that there's a gap at all.
I don't think there's, you know what? I think this year is going to come down to who's playing well right then, because there's so many teams that can get loose and have a good game. Like I'm not sold on, I'm not selling Purdue, because I think they have enough people that can give people problems and win 6 games in a row. But Kirk Kriisa too, you got to think, like what do you think Auburn's going to do to Kirk Kriisa? Get up underneath him and give him some problems. And point guard play, if there's one weakness on that Arizona team, yes, I would say it's Kriisa's susceptibility to emotion. And what I mean by that is he's going to get so riled up and do something so crazy that you can see like he's going to turn it over 4 or 5 times. But at the same time, on the flip side of that, he might be awful in the first half and then turn around the second half and be great. But I think point guard play for Arizona could be the thing that ends up holding them up. But there's not a huge gap. You look up and down, like Kentucky could win some games in a row. Duke, super talented. The gap is not as big. And I think it happens to be because there's that extra year of eligibility for all these players. There's more talent on the floor this year. And because it's set up the way it is, the talent has been dispersed among all these different teams.
Yeah, Carter, I want to ask you something. So you said earlier that you think the SEC is the best conference in college basketball. We're watching the end on the Field of 68 after dark. This is Sirius XM channel 84, the ESPNU station. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us streaming on Twitter. You can find us anywhere that you can get podcasts for absolutely free.